Hey everybody, welcome back to the Plays and Fades YouTube channel. I'm your host, Gordo Gambles, and welcome back to another full card DFS breakdown, this time for UFC London. This card actually has a lot of very good fights, and a lot of fights I want to target from both sides. Just a really eventful DraftKings night as a whole. Quickly before I go in, make sure you guys are checking me out on Twitter at GamblesGordo to see my entire slate of plays, as well as my other content I'm putting out, my current MMA best bet video, and my DFS breakdown with the Pub Sport Radio guys. All links in the description down below. And without wasting any more of your time, let's get into this card. First things first, we gotta talk about the main event. Tom Aspinall's getting his biggest test to date facing Curtis the Razor Blaydes. I was lucky enough to see Curtis Blaydes live last time at UFC Columbus, and man, he put out a good showing, but he didn't shoot any takedowns. And that was really weird for me to see because he's a guy who is the best wrestler in the division. Like, he is very good at what he does. And he's honestly a very good DraftKings player. The craziest part is, it's gonna be the first time in 8 fights he's gonna close as the underdog. And maybe close, I don't know where the line's gonna end up, but a lot of people love Tom Aspinall, and I get it. The guy is insanely good at what he does. He is one of the most agile heavyweights we've ever seen. Great technical ability on the feet, as well as a very slick ground game. His name on Twitter is Aspinall BJJ, and he showed that against Volkov, putting out a first round submission there. The guy has really good skills on the ground. We really haven't seen him tested. He's 5-0 in the UFC, averaging 110 fan points, so the guy's really good at what he does, but he hasn't been dragged into deep waters. 4 first round finishes, hasn't been past the second round at all. We haven't really seen him off his back at all either. He's getting a really tough matchup and a guy who will take him down consistently and make it a really fun fight. Ownership wise, I'm all over this main event. It's pretty simple to me. The known commodity is Curtis Blaydes. We know he's going to shoot takedowns. We know he's the more proven guy. We know he has the upside here in this fight, and I definitely think he's a decent underdog. But Tom Aspinall's got a lot of question marks, and I think that from what we have seen from him, his ground game, his technical ability, his brain, I think he's a decent option this week. I don't think this fight goes all 5 rounds. I think that on the feet it's going to be Tom Aspinall. I think that in the BJJ is going to be Tom Aspinall. But when it comes to the takedowns, the control time, the DFS fantasy point upside is going to be on Curtis Blaydes. And I do think this is a fight where you want both sides. I know that's not what you guys want to hear. You want to hear me pick a side, but I truly am going to be split down the middle on this fight. Both guys could go out there and score 120 points, and I would not be surprised in the least. Both guys are very talented, and I do definitely recommend having one of them in your lineups this weekend. Speaking of fights I want ownership on, another fight I'm really targeting heavy this week is going to be the GSP versus Mokaev Amirkhani fight. I think both these guys' win conditions score very well. It's a really interesting matchup because Mokaev Amirkhani, where he's a good wrestler and grappling artist, he has cardio issues. And that's so ironic because he's going up against the cardio beast of the division in Jonathan Pearce. Jonathan Pearce is a guy who just keeps on going no matter what. And those are the kind of guys you love to target on DraftKings. Pearce is averaging 118 in his wins, and I truly think that his win equity scores very well. What's his win equity, you may ask? It's surviving that first round, drowning Mokaev throughout the stretch, and finishing in rounds 2 or 3. He has takedown upside. I think he has power edge on the feet, and most importantly, the cardio advantage. The danger in this spot here is Mokaev's ground game. He's an unbelievable grappler, and he does have the opportunity to choke out Jonathan Pearce at almost any time. Jonathan Pearce puts himself in a lot of bad situations. Rodriguez had his neck for way too long last time, and I think that if Mokaev gets that same opportunity, the fight is over. And that right there is another reason why I'm also targeting this fight from both sides, because Mokaev Amirkhani definitely has the ability to go out there and snatch up a neck. He can definitely take advantage of the defensive grappling liabilities of Jonathan Pearce and put his lights out. So when we take a step back and look at how these guys are going to score, I truly think Amirkhani is going to go out there, he's going to get a first round submission and score 100 plus, or get drowned out and score maybe 15. On the other side of things, Jonathan Pearce can go out there, be subbed in the first round, score maybe not even 10 points, or go out and drown him and score 120. However, picking a side on this one, I gotta go with the cardio beast. Guys like Jonathan Pearce are my DFS kryptonite. I love rostering them. I do think the upside is definitely there, but you cannot look past the dangerous grappling of Mokaev Amirkhani. Another one, yes, another fight I'm completely targeting both sides is one where you have to mention the dog first. Every time you have a Paul Craig fight, especially against a power puncher, you have to target this. Wanna know why? It's because Paul Craig is Paul Craig. He's the bear Jew. He's a guy who's able to submit people with 1 second left on the clock, who's able to be pretty much knocked out and come back and win. The guy's ground game is unlike no other, and it's really fun to see him fight. I love watching him because he looks like he's done, looks like he's gonna lose, and then boom, just like that, snatches something out of thin air, and he wins the fight. He's getting a guy this week in Oezdemir who, if he's smart, won't play into that fantasy of Paul Craig of letting him submit him, because on the feet, it is Volkan all day. This is another very simple fight. Grappler versus striker. Who do you want? Do you want the grappler in Paul Bear Jew Craig who could get knocked out and score nothing? Or the guy in Volkan Oezdemir who could go out there, look like he's minus 1,000 favor on the feet, and then get choked out of nowhere? What is Volkan going to do? Is he going to follow Paul Craig into his guard? Is he going to allow himself to be taken down? That's the real question. Because on the feet, it's Volkan, and Volkan has the ability to go out there and score 100 points with a few knockdowns. But there's always that risk when you're facing Paul Craig that he's going to get you on the ground, and he's going to throw his legs up, and he's going to submit you. He is so good at it, and for some reason, people keep allowing him to do it. I love rostering Paul Craig. I think he's a great DFS option as an underdog because his upside scores very, very well. However, you have to be aware of the high upside of Volkan on the other side because his ceiling is also super high. Both these guys is another one of these spots where I want to target both sides. I'm going to have a lot of ownership on it. Every single time he fights, I see myself going towards Paul Craig. I love his style. I'll definitely have some of him as an underdog this week. However, I cannot look past Volkan Oezdemir. And finally, one last fight I'm going to target as a whole is going to be Jai Herbert versus the Canadian man himself in Kyle Nelson. Another one of these really ironic matchups because Jai Herbert's biggest deficiency is his chin and being knocked out. And who's he facing? A power puncher who has the ability to go out there with insane power in that very first round and knock him out. If this fight goes past round 1, it is going to be Jai Herbert all day. The Black Country Banger has insane technical ability. I do think he's a decent prospect. I do think he wins this fight by cardio and technicality edge through the second and third. However, with that being said, what is Kyle Nelson's win condition? It is that first round finish. Is it off the table? No, not at all. Jai Herbert's been finished multiple times. I definitely think he could be finished here once again. I don't want both sides. However, I do think the more likely win equity is going to be on the Jai Herbert side. I do think it's a decent pay-up option, and I do think he gets a finish in this fight here. All right, let's continue to talk about fighters, this time on their own, starting off with an underdog, Alexander Gustafsson. I truly think we have to wait to see how he looks on the scales this week and to see if his heart's really in it, but I think this guy in his prime is a much bigger favorite than he is here. I think he has all the skills to win this fight, and I think that if the real Alexander Gustafsson shows up, he wins and does not look like a $7,600 underdog at all. Again, though, the narrative, what is he going to look like? Who is this guy now, especially against a guy in Nikita Krylov? It's a tough one. But I find myself drawn to a $7,600 price tag all the time because he is so technically good, and I do think he can win this fight at a higher clip than the price tag entails. Sure, he's on a 3-fight losing skid, and he hasn't won a fight in forever. But against John Jones, Anthony Smith, and Fabricio Werdum, I mean, I kind of give him a little bit of slack there. Krylov is going to be no pushover whatsoever. I just do think that Gustafsson exceeds value at $7,600. All right, Patty the Batty, let's mention him. 8.9K facing against Jordan Leavitt, the twerking monkey king as he is. I mean, this is going to be a fun fight, but I don't think it's as fun as people want it to be. If I'm being completely honest, I mean, this completely has the opportunity to go out there and be a grappling match for 3 rounds that could, and where both guys have opportunities to finish, but they never get there. They're both very good grapplers. I think if you want to get a finish, you're going to need a finish from the feet from Paddy Pimblett. He definitely has the higher ceiling in this fight, in my opinion, because I do think he has the ability to go out there and knock out Jordan Leavitt. But that being said, how often does that happen? I do think that this fight can go to decision and they can both score very low. And I do think with the name of Paddy Pimblett, he's going to draw a lot of attention. I actually don't want to have that much Paddy Pimblett because of the ownership he's going to have. And I don't think he necessarily has the same consistent upside as a lot of the guys in the price range. When you look right above him, Jai Herbert, we just talked about him. He has the ability in a win condition, go out there and score very, very well. Whereas Paddy Pimblett could very well win a decision. Out of the two, I am taking Paddy Pimblett. I do think he wins this fight. However, I do think there's better options. And definitely with less ownership than Paddy Pimblett will accrue, I do think that you can kind of look past him a bit, but that's always dangerous because he's going to go out there with some fire, and I'm hoping it's going to be a good fight. However, for all the reasons I just mentioned, I definitely won't have as much of him as others. Instead, though, I'm going up. 9.1K Mark Diakiese. He is my favorite, let's say, cash option and favorite winner this week. I'm all over him. Betting-wise, DFS-wise, I mean, he went out there against Slava Borshev and put up 118 points last time out, also in UFC Columbus, with 11 takedowns. I definitely think he has the opportunity to do that again against Amir Hadzovic this weekend, who I don't think is that good from a takedown defense perspective. And even if we look at a matchup on the feet, I do think Mark Diakiese has him beat there as well. I think Mark Diakiese has this guy covered everywhere and can definitely go out there and score 90, 95 points in a win, no problem. At that, he could choose to have that same grapple heavy game plan and go out there and score another 115 points because he is so willing to shoot takedowns and will definitely be the better grappler here. I love Mark Diakiese. I think he should be priced a little bit higher. I think he's a good safe play for you this weekend, and I'm having him in a lot of my lineups. A guy similar to him is going to be Muhammad Mokaev. 9.5K. The guy's a super smart, super young, talented prospect. I think at $9,500, it is expensive. It is a steep price tag, but he's a smart guy. He's going to go out there and shoot takedowns. Johnson has shown to get up. I've watched his tape. He's got decent get-up game, and he's really, really tough. So the longer this fight gets extended, maybe Mokaev is able to accrue lots and lots of takedowns and score very, very well. I mean, he put up 126 in his debut. I don't expect the same quick win bonus, but I do think that the takedowns, the control time, the total drafting score is going to be there for him. And at $9,500, I do think he wins this fight a lot of the time. I mean, of course, what you're going to get when you're betting a -500 favorite, but I do think he wins this fight. I mean, you got to think about it, like, who are the UFC trying to promote here? I think this is a matchup for Mokaev to do well, maybe showcase a little bit of adversity through a 3-round decision with a lot of takedowns, a lot of upside, and a lot of DraftKings points to back. And finally, before I wrap up the card, I want to touch on this Curtis Hermansson fight. I'm not as high on it as a lot of other people are. I know everyone loves Chris Curtis. I've tried fading him. I don't know if I'm going to get to Jack Hermansson because of how much money I've lost fading Chris Curtis. But once again, I do think Jack Hermansson wins. I mean, he's going to have the grappling upside. He's going to have the length. And this is another step up for Chris Curtis. I mean, he's passed all the tests to date, but I think the more well-rounded mixed martial artist is going to be Jack Hermansson. He's durable enough to withstand the power. I think he has the takedown upside, and I don't think he should be the underdog. So I am on the Jack Hermansson side. I do think he has more submission upside. I don't know if Chris Curtis has the same finish upside. At the ownership level, he's probably going to have, because everyone loves Chris Curtis. So with that being said, I will have a lot more Jack Hermansson this weekend. All right, but that's going to do it. Let's wrap up the rest of the card. First up, Mandy Bone, Victoria Leonardo. No, thank you. Leonardo, maybe if you need a dog. I do think this fight goes to decision. I do think Leonardo has the ability to go out there and mix it up. However, I don't want to play it. Low level fight, I would much rather pass on this one. Just like this next level fight, Hannah Goldie versus Molly McCann. Sure, Molly McCann's a decent fighter who everyone's going to know, and she's probably going to win a decision in her hometown, but how much does she score in her decision? Yes, she has volume. Yes, she has put up decent scores in the past, but at $9,300, it's really hard for me to get to her over the likes of Diakiese, Jones, Pimblett, Herbert. There's so many good options up top. I don't know if I can get to Molly McCann as much. I don't see her finishing. I don't see her another spinning back elbow, and as much as I would like to see it happen, I don't see it happening. So at $9,300, I do like her to win. However, I don't know if she reaches that 10x value as often as we want her to. Nathaniel Wood, I think he wins this week, and I think he has takedown upside, control time upside. I think he's the better striker. I think he all around is the better fighter, but I'm not rostering as much as I want to. I don't think his ceiling is as high as the Jones or Herbert side. I don't think that his floor is as high as the Diakiese or Mokaev side. He's kind of in that middle range. I'll definitely have some ownership on him because I do think he wins this fight at a pretty high clip, but not one I'm really running to the window to roster. Mason Jones, Ludovic Klein. You guys know I love Ludovic Klein. He was one of my biggest underdog bets ever. I truly love him, and I think he's a great fighter, but this is not a good stylistic matchup for him. Mason Jones can have the opportunity to walk him down, put pressure against him, grapple him if he wants, push him against the cage, and wear on that gas tank. The biggest flaw in Ludovic Klein's game is being pressured and losing that cardio. I think that Mason Jones, despite coming in on short notice, is going to be the bigger guy, ability to take him down, wear on him, and I think he finishes him late. His style scores very well. I mean, he just put up 126 points against David Onama. Look how well that win is aging. I do think he is a really good option this weekend, and definitely a guy I'm looking to roster up top. And last but not least, Dalby versus Silva. Again, I can't really get behind this fight as much as I'd want to. Nicholas Dalby hasn't really been himself recently, hasn't looked that well. Lost 2 of his last 3, and the one win he did get, I mean, he put up 54 points. Sure, he's never been subbed, and that's Silva's main game plan, but I don't see either of these guys scoring very well. I think it goes to decision a lot of the time, and a pretty low scoring decision at that, so I think there's better options, especially at 8.8K. Sure, I think Claudio Silva may be live down low because I don't know what version of Dalby I am getting this weekend. With that being said, definitely a lot of better options. I'm mostly staying away from it. But that's gonna do it for me here on the Plays and Fades YouTube channel. If you guys have any more questions, make sure to DM me on Twitter at GamblesGordo. Now that the video is done, make sure to leave a like down below, subscribe to the channel, and check out the other content I have posted throughout the week. All those links are in the description down below. A really exciting card. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm actually in the States for this one, so I'll actually be able to play some DFS because screw Ontario rules. But I wish everybody the best of luck. Please enjoy the cards, show some love on the video where you can, and let's make some money, guys.